What it do, everybody? It's your boy King Crowder back again to go over history you may not know and things that are not taught in active detail for sure. Today's lesson, we're going to go all the way to the great state of Illinois. We're going to focus on a city called Pana, which is known as a coal mining town where one of the race massacres in our series of ethnic cleansing actually happened. This is a coal miner labor conflict that resulted when racial conflict occurred in Pana, Illinois. As a result of 7 people died, which was known as a racial conflict. It was known as the United Migrant Worker of America. They were called for a strike. Nearly 300 African Americans, Black Americans, I love to state it, coming from the state of Alabama, served as a strike, man. The wages were low. They were not supported. They did not get the proper equipment. Nothing happened to establish them to make them feel unified. These Black Americans from Alabama stood up for themselves. They said, hey, we're doing this dangerous work. We have no safety material, and our wages are not concrete. While striking, the white miners have been out of work for almost a year. The overtly boarders were part owners of the mine, and they went to recruit Black Americans that were free labor hands in Alabama. When the whites came back and saw that there were more Black Americans taking up these jobs, hiring more people, there was a first-hand account of how people began to get frustrated. If you do not look back at history, you can see the constant repeat of a cycle. You see either Black Americans having their own status, having preferential treatments, or jobs in an area anytime you see the area of ethnic cleansing. Remember, when the strike went about, most Black Americans were non-unionized and they would complain about the poor working conditions. The other people in the area complained about them because they had people that have jobs and activities when the Black Americans literally did not have the activities to do so. So the Black Americans had their own version of the hotel, was known as the Alabama Hotel. They were working in the northern area to gain wages and send them back home. So they were working in these cities that needed workers to work in these scrap coal plants. As the unionized workers began to have a dispute, they were receiving almost 27 cents less than the white workers. The Black coal miners actually formed a union known as the African Mutual Association, which stated that, hey, we deserve to have the same amount of rights. We work just as hard. Our biceps are carrying just as much load, and we're receiving damn near half the pay. So as these Black Americans began to set their frustration, they began to say, hey, we're going to stand up. We deserve to get paid. We deserve for these issues to be resolved. The issues were a normal conflict. They were rioting. They were doing picket fences peacefully. However, on April 10th, 1899, a confrontation occurred. Excuse me. After the confrontation, a long blowing front between strikers and miner Henry Stevens, who was a white American at the time, fired his weapon. He began to shoot randomly at Black American union workers. 2 workers were shot and killed because of this incident. The deaths of a union battle were unheard of. Remember, Black Americans did not have the rights as many Americans did at that time. So they never got any bereavement pay. They never got their funerals compensated for. It literally took the other union workers to supplement what these brothers had been going on at the time. When this incident happened, mayhem hit the street. The streets broke in so bad that the National Guard had to be called to Pana, Illinois the next day. They had to settle the unrest because these Black Americans stood up for themselves. They even said, we're not going to work these mines. We're not going to work anything until 1, we receive the service and the pay we need. 2, we get properly compensated. And 3, we're going to stop our working patterns. They began to get the gentleman Henry Stevens convicted and got him arrested. Now, the crazy thing about this time, remember in American history, there was a legalized plan to attack Black Americans without any extent to the law. So even though Mr. Henry Stevens was arrested and convicted, he didn't only serve 1 year in prison for 3 deaths and shooting random people. Think about this at the time. This man killed a man on a job site with multiple witnesses. He did no longer than a year in jail. After April 10th, the Black residents of Pana moved away because they said, hey, this guy only got a year in prison. This is a joke. Bankrupt the mining communities, and many of the miners and operators had to shut down in the middle of late June. The Black community formed together, pulled their support, and left their area impoverished with very much low wages. The governor at the time tried to recruit them, coming back to Alabama saying, hey, we will give you your rights and your understanding. However, Blacks moved west. They sought different opportunities. They pulled their meager resources to know Jim Crow's not going to save us, and we're not going to get treated this way. as north as Illinois. This story is tragic because it shows that ethnic cleansing happened across this country. But what we see different in the Pana Riots is that the black Americans stood up for themselves, took away their labor, and instead of going back and forth with the gentleman, they moved away and completely bankrupted the town. The tragedy of the Pana Riot and the labor force union shows that when you get mistreated sometimes, you have a right to either A, stand up for yourself, B, leave the situation, or C, learn about other parts in history in which racial crimes happen and we decide to take our resources and move them away, completely giving a backlash we needed. It's your boy King Crowder, back again with another historical video. Hopefully you learned something today about a labor conflict in a historical period of ethnic cleansing. This is American history that we do not learn, that everyone should learn, that is extremely important. Please comment, like, and subscribe to the channel. I hope you learned something for this video. I hope this video was informative for you. Until next time, peace.